What's going on, Cavalier Faithful? Welcome on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about early stage development of roster construction. I know there's going to be a lot of speculation this offseason. Donovan Mitchell extension, Darius Garland trade. Is Jarrett Allen on the trade block? What's Evan Mobley's future? Who do they have to decide with? A lot of that is getting talked about and discussed, rightfully so. You have a smaller piece going under the radar, and this is where it kind of gets interesting, especially from a team last offseason that did distribute some money around, whether it was the Karis LeVert extension, the Max Strus acquisition, the George Niang contract. Some money was spent last offseason, and where does that leave you with a guy like Isaac Okoro? So over on Clutch Points on the Cavalier homepage there, this article from Peter Sampson 2 days ago, guys, June 1st, I'm recording this on the 3rd, talking about Isaac Okoro, about his value in the marketplace this offseason in the NBA. This is from somebody in the LA Times talking about the general sense is that there at least be conversations that teams would be interested in him as far as paying upwards of $14 million annually on his next contract, which is more than the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is somewhat in play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Here's my thing, and I promise you, 6-8 weeks ago, I heard that this guy, Okoro, should be getting, $15+ million a year. He's somebody we need to keep around. He's pivotal to this team. I'm sorry, guys. He's an $8 million number for me. Now, you might be saying, why is this? At the end of the day, let's even go up to $10 million. If you want to match a $10 million number from a restricted free agent, because maybe somebody that is a competitor for you in the Eastern Conference wants to come and snag him, I'm okay with matching that number. Anything over that, that figure, $8 to $10 million range, or however you look at it as far as the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, it's going to be too much for me, guys. And I get it. He's a good defensive player. He's one of our best perimeter defenders, but he doesn't make all NBA defensive teams. He doesn't really put together that good of an offensive showing. And I know he's improved. His three-point percentages has improved year over year. That's kind of fool's gold, guys. He takes corner three-point shots, and he has made them at a higher clip each year of his career, which no fault to him. Respect to him for improving his game. That's not enough. You see it in the postseason. But to talk about his regular season stats, 9.4 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 1.9 assists per game, really nothing spectacular on the offensive end, especially from a guy who was a top 5 overall pick. And oh my gosh, the amount of people I hear, that draft wasn't very good. That draft was good, guys. And I get it. You're not going to hit on every single draft pick, but that first round draft was good. There was a lot of players in that draft who made bigger impacts than Okoro this previous postseason. I'll throw the tweet that I put out there earlier on as far as, regarding that situation. I'll put it right here. But you might be wondering, okay, maybe he's a defensive specialist. He's carved out a role for himself. You could afford to pay that guy. He doesn't really even make a playoff impact. He hasn't in 2 seasons, 17 total games as far as being in the postseason and playoff series as a Cleveland Cavalier. This past postseason, 5.5 points per game, 1.8 rebounds per game, 1.1 assists per game. In 22 minutes, he only played 15 minutes in the per game in the 5 games against the Knicks. JB, on the iteration of this Cavs team 2 playoffs ago, didn't even feel comfortable giving him a whole lot of burn. You had guys like Marcus Morris Sr. seeing more consequential and truthfully better minutes than Isaac Okoro in this last season. A guy, Marcus Morris wasn't even playing. He was unemployed, sitting on his couch until the last third of the season. So I get it. I know that people like this guy. Us here at the Pulse have really never kind of seen the upside of him, even on draft night. We have footage of us being disappointed, me and Justin, on draft night, basically saying that, we didn't really think it was a great pick at the time. I understand that he's improved his game, but when it comes to a playoff situation, you can't just shoot corner threes. He was good at driving to the basket. He was actually an exquisite player in transition in the fast break. Unfortunately, that really hasn't been our MO as far as the Cavs game plan the past couple of seasons. We played extremely slow 2 seasons ago. This last season, a little bit of improvement, but nothing major, nothing severe. And I understand if you bring in an offensive mind, could he unlock this guy? It's too late for that, guys, unfortunately. You have Karis LeVert making $17 million. You have Max Strus making the same amount of money. Both guys who are considerably better offensive players than Isaac Okoro, who also didn't look very good in this most recent postseason for the most part. So that's going to be my stance on the situation. I think that that's the rumors that are coming out, covered by Clutch Points, is that the non-taxpayer mid-level exception is kind of how we're going to go here. If he's garnering $14 million annually, that's not something the Cavaliers could do. It's unfortunate. It's the business of how sports and pro sports kind of works out, but this is what I told people a year ago. I said, it's all fun and games. Oh, everybody loved the LeVert signing. Everybody loved the Strus acquisition. In all fairness, in that point in time, I didn't like the LeVert extension. The Max Strus, acquisition made sense to me as far as the team in the moment and what we needed as far as how to advance to the next level. You can't get too upset about that. But when you make these other moves and you dish out these other forms of payment to these guys, somebody is going to be left out in the future. You have Donovan Mitchell on a max, obviously. Darius Garland received a max. Evan Mobley still needs to get paid. So you're telling me that you'd rather prioritize Isaac Okoro over an Evan Mobley extension? Unfortunately and truthfully, absolutely not. There's a lot of factors going in on this. I said pretty early into this season, all-star breaker right around there, that Isaac Okoro is really unlikely to be on the roster this next year. And if somebody comes out and sees him for, that value, $14 million a year, more power to the guy. Hope that he has an improved NBA career and he goes on with his life. And so do the Cavaliers. But when you make a huge acquisition for a guy like Donovan Mitchell, what people are failing to understand is that sped up our timeline. Your timeline is now Donovan Mitchell. Your timeline pre-Donovan Mitchell was, okay, we have the three bigs. Let's hope Mobley, reaches his ceiling. Let's hope Garland reaches his ceiling, which you could have had 4 or 5 years of that possibility. I'm not making commentary on the Mitchell trade. I think it was the right move in the moment. History is going to see. We'll look back on it and we'll talk about it. But with that all being said, appreciate you guys stopping in for this quick upload. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed down below. And with that all being said, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.